And you're basically, you can see under 187.03 in the revised code, I'm going to jump ahead of this one. JobsOhio may perform such functions and those duties as prescribed, but shall not be considered a state or public department, agency, office, body, institution, or instrumentality for purposes of Chapter 102, which is the ethics law. You'll note that also in 1.60, a general law provision of the revised code, it specifically states, this is from House Bill 1, state agency does not include the nonprofit corporation formed under Section 187.01 of the revised code. Now, what it does do is provide for financial disclosure. And in that regard, it specifically references this, and I have this highlighted in blue. Nothing in this division shall be construed to impair the powers and duties of the Ohio Ethics Commission described in Section 102.06 of the revised code to investigate and enforce Section 102.02 financial disclosure filing requirement with regard to individuals required to file statements under Division B2, and then B2 lists who is required to file, and then it repeats again, directors and employees of JobsOhio are not employees or officials of the state and are not subject to Chapter 102. So that's what the General Assembly and the governor signed into law, what the House Bill 1 did. It also furthermore, not directly relevant, but just important in terms of understanding the extent of the exclusion. The prohibition applicable to former public officials or employees in Division A1, that's the revolving door law, does not apply to any person appointed to be a director or hired as an employee of JobsOhio. It's a fairly comprehensive removal, a very clear legislative intent of where the commission does and does not have.
And passed with bipartisan support, and we are really hewing to what the legislature said. By the way, I think there's one other important supplement from the commission standpoint in regard to deferred compensation, which lawyers will easily recognize. In 2009, the commission answered a request from Governor Strickland's appointee to be the director of the Lottery Commission, giving effect to the fact that there was nothing improper in her taking deferred compensation from her previous employer who would be doing business with her agency. And of course, that included making sure that there was no personal conflict which related to any, by her, any work or disbursements that the employer would have that would relate to her then current position. So there's a very ample precedent for deferred compensation being selected to be received at a later point. And I did notice in that letter from the council that that selection of deferred compensation was made many years before 2008. The governor became probably even thought he was going to be a candidate. So what I want to do on the commission's behalf is separate the areas of attention that we're able to give directly, and also make it clear that my view, of course, was everything should be in. There should be no mystery about one part being here and one part being there, because we're happy to be a forum of query on proper conduct. But as to the political exchanges, that really is not our province, and they'll have to, those matters will have to fall where they do. So when we finish this part of the meeting, you can make all those available from the standpoint of anybody who wants to read them, because they're on the public record. And I must say again, that letter that came from the council relates very much to the comment made in the letters that came only on disclosure. So those requests are more than inquiry. They certainly are making a point of disclosures, and we're happy. We would have answered, we would have sought the information anyway, and it's here. So we directed it over here, Mike.
Could you clarify which documents you're talking about? I mean, my question is really that I have the same concerns and reservations that Ms. Davis
expressed. Whatever might be tantamount to further inquiry, we'll discuss in executive session. If there's something, we'll
so those are on hold for now.
Letters?
Yeah,
These
well,
letters as
the
well
only
as the
letter,
council letter.
the only, I think it was important that the director spoke to Mr. Fitzgerald's assistant to determine there was no allegation and no complaint. It was only a question of whether the disclosure was accurate and had any connection to any conflict of interest. I think the exchanges show that that is not an issue for us. If there are other matters with JobsOhio that turn out to have any other inference, we'll certainly get to those, that where we have any role.